Hey everyone, so this is section 7.3, and we are now going to talk about multiplying polynomials. So the last section we just added and subtracted polynomials. So a big thing to remember, and it's really important to write down at the top of your papers, is that from the last section we know x plus x equals 2x. Okay, if I have one apple plus another apple, I've got two apples. What we really need to know now when we multiply polynomials, and what we need to remember always, is that x times x is x squared. Think about area. Length times width. We are talking about that whole region. Within the length and the width, we have square units. This is really important to remember. Circle it, highlight it, star it. Okay, so when we multiply a monomial by a monomial, and remember from the last section, a monomial is just one term. Oh, sorry. It's just one term. We use the exponent properties that we used in the previous section when multiplying the same base. So we have to have the same base number and add the exponents, right? Multiply variables, we add the exponents. Here's an example. So look for your like terms. 2 times 3 gives me 6. Then I've got x times x. That's what we just talked about, x squared. And there's only one y, so we keep the y. Okay? When multiplying a monomial by a polynomial, we must distribute. When we're good at that, we've been doing that for a really long time. The entire monomial to each term of the polynomial. Let me show you what that could look like. If I have a monomial like 2x in front of parentheses like this, all we need to do is distribute the 2x to every term in the polynomial, okay? And that's what we're going to practice today, okay? So here we go. The first problem, find the product of the polynomials below. So this is just a monomial times a monomial, right? This is just like the example we did earlier. And I'm really just multiplying like terms, right? So I've got -2 times 4 is -8. Then I've got a times a squared. And I can write that over here if you're not sure. Remember, multiplying variables, we add the exponents. We know that already, guys. That's not new. And then I've got just one b, so that hangs out. Okay? And now let's check out b. Notice I have a monomial. The 2x is a monomial. There's one term in the front and then two terms, so I have a binomial inside the parentheses. That means we must distribute. And we just multiply each term by the 2x, and we just take our time. We can write this out. Usually we don't, but I can this first time. So I need to do 2x times 4x squared. So I'm going to multiply, right? That's right here. This first term times that 2x. 2 times 4 gives me 8. X times x squared is x cubed, right? Multiply variables, add the exponents. And then we have to come through and do the 2x times the -6y. Okay? And I've got 2 times -6 is -12. There's only one x and there's only one y. Here's my answer. So I have a binomial answer there. Okay, let's check out problem 2. So problem 2, they have given us three functions, right? They're giving us f of x, g of x, and h of x, all three. And they're going to tell us what they would like us to do with these three functions. So a says multiply, right? F of x times g of x. And that's what we're going to write to start. I'm going to put the f of x, which is 3x, times g of x, which is -4x to the fourth. So these are just two monomials that we're going to multiply together, the like terms. So I've got 3 times -4 is -12. X times x to the fourth, multiply variables, add the exponents, I get -12x to the fifth. And then if we do the next one, it says g of x, so we're going to take g of x, right? It says g of x times h of x. So I'm going to have -4x to the fourth times h of x is this whole expression, 3x squared plus 6x minus 5. And that means we're going to have to distribute. So we're going to do each at a time. I've got negative 4x to the 4th times 3. Okay, and multiply the like terms. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. X to the 4th times x squared. Multiply variables, add the exponents. Now we've got to distribute again. Negative x to the 4th times 6x. Negative 4 times 6 is negative 24. X to the 4th times x to the 1st power. Multiply variables, add the exponents. And then one last distributing. Negative 4x to the 4th times negative 5. Negative 4 times negative 5 is positive 20. X to the 4th has to come along. And there's my final answer. So be careful when we do the distributing. Okay, here's a little word problem for us. Diane needs a piece of paper whose length, and let's draw this piece of paper whose length is 4 more inches than the width. So if the width is x, x plus 4 more inches is the length. We can write that out. Write the polynomial expression that represents the area of the paper. So area, we know, equals length times width. So area equals x plus 4 times x. Use the formula. That's just what we used. It's the width, and then we're going to answer this. So to answer that, we're going to do a little distributing, right? We have to distribute that x to everything. So I'm going to have x times x is x squared. X times 4 is 4x. And then they're saying find the area if the width of the paper is 5 inches. So that means x equals 5. What is the area of the paper? All we have to do is substitute the 5 in for x. So I'm going to do the area equals 5 squared plus 4 times 5 gives me 25 plus 20. So I get 45 inches squared is the area of this paper. Okay. And now we're going to check out what happens if we don't have a monomial anymore. So when multiplying two binomials, remember that's two terms. Every term in one binomial must be multiplied by every term in the second binomial. There are several methods, but most students like to use the FOIL method. And so guys, if we don't know FOIL, if we're not familiar or confident, it's the same thing as distributing. Okay? FOIL, what FOIL stands for, and it's probably the most important thing we need to take away here, it's going to be used in every single one of your classes moving forward. FOIL, right, F-O-I-L, means first, outer, inner, last. Okay, so we multiply the first numbers, the outer numbers, the inner numbers, and then the last numbers. And let's practice doing that here. So number 4, we're going to multiply the binomials using FOIL. Guys, it's just the same thing as distributing. I don't want us to overthink it, okay? So FOIL, the first one says to multiply the first numbers. So that means, look, and make sure this makes sense. These numbers are the first numbers, right, in both of the parentheses, the x squared and the x, right? They're the first numbers in both of the parentheses. Look at the parentheses separately. So I'm going to have x squared times x, that's x cubed, right? Multiply variables, add the exponents. Then we've got outer. Then we multiply the outer numbers together. The outer numbers are the x squared to the 2. See how these are on the outside of this entire polynomial, okay? But if that's tricky, notice how we just distributed that x to everything in the second parenthesis, okay? So x squared times 2, we get 2x squared, right? I multiplied the x squared to everything in the second parenthesis, and now we're going to multiply the inner numbers. That means the very inside of the expression here, 3 times x is 3x. And then the last is the last numbers. Multiply the 3 times the 2. Gives me 6. This is my answer. So again, we can remember first, outer, inner, last. Or notice what happened, guys. the x squared got distributed to everything. I didn't do that crazy highlight there. The x squared got distributed to everything, right? Notice here. Notice the top parentheses, the top arrows. And then the 3 got distributed to everything. That's all we got to think about. So in the next one here, I'm going to talk about it in terms of distributing. If I see that 3x squared in the front, I've got to distribute it to the x and to the 5. So 3x squared times x gives me 3x cubed. 3x squared times 5 is 15x squared. Distribute the first term to everything, and now we're going to distribute the negative 2x to everything. Negative 2x times x is negative 2x squared. Negative 2x times 5 is negative 10x. And now we can do some combining like terms, like usually, like the last time we stopped here because there were no like terms. Notice here, we can combine the 15x squared and the 2x. So 15x squared minus 2x gives me 13x squared minus 10x. Okay, so just be careful with that distributing. We'll get the hang of it. So now the last thing here is when multiplying two polynomials, every term in one polynomial must be multiplied by every term in the second polynomial. So notice these, problem 5, we've got a binomial and a trinomial. So it's the same exact thing as distributing. And I want to just emphasize that because we're good at distributing. Okay, so again, notice when I do these arrows, and you should do the same, x times the x squared times the negative 5x times the 4. And let's do that. X times x squared is x cubed. X times 5x is negative 5x squared. X times 4 is 4x. That is just distributing, guys. Then we've got to do the same thing on the bottom. 2 times x squared is 2x squared. 2 times negative 5x is negative 10x. And 2 times 4 is 8. And then we just have to look through and combine like terms, just like we learned earlier in chapter 7. So x cubed, there's only one x cubed. I'm going to leave that as is. Then I've got negative 5x squared plus 2x squared. That gives me a negative 3x squared. I'm just going to cross these out so we don't look at them again. 4x minus 10x is negative 6x plus the 8 left over. Okay? And then let's check out b. Again, the same exact thing. We're going to do the first term times everything in the second polynomial. 3x times negative 2x squared is negative 6x cubed. 3x times 5x is 15x squared. 3x times negative 6 is negative 18x. Negative 4 times negative 2x squared is positive 8x squared. That's really hard to see. Let's do that again. Negative 4 times negative 2x squared is a positive 8x squared. Negative 4 times 5x is negative 20x. And negative 4 times negative 6 is a positive 24. And then we look for our like terms. Negative 6x cubed, there's only one x cubed, so we're going to leave that alone. 15x squared, 8x squared gives me 23x squared. Negative 18x minus 20x is negative 38x. Plus 24 at the end. Okay? And then one last word problem here at the very end. It says, George has designed a rectangular mural that measures 20 feet in width and 30 feet in length. And I just write that and draw it as we go. Laura also has designed a rectangular mural, but it measures X feet shorter on each side. So this is George. Laura's is smaller, but we don't know how much smaller. It just says X feet shorter, so 30 minus X, 20 minus X. Write a polynomial expression that represents the area of Laura's wall. Here's our equation. So area equals length times width. So area equals 20 minus X times 30 minus X. And it doesn't matter the order you do there. And then what we need to do is simplify this equation. So we're going to do some distributing, some foiling. So area equals 20 times 30 is 600. 20 times negative x is negative 20x. Then we're going to distribute the negative x to everything. Negative x times 30 is negative 30x. Negative x times negative x is a positive x squared. We're going to write this in standard form, just like we've been talking about in chapter 7. The x squared goes first. We'll combine like terms here to get negative 50x plus 600. Everything gets put together here. There's our equation, and then it says when x equals 6, what is the area of the mural? So I've got to do area equals 6 squared minus 50 times 6 plus 600, and we get 336 feet squared is the area of Laura's mural. Okay, so guys, this is chapter 7.3. It's really important. These are skills that you're going to use for the rest of your math careers in high school. So make sure we understand this. Let me know if you have any questions. Good job, guys.